What does your dream work life look like? Is it shutting the technology down at a certain time to have dinner with your family? Or working a 20-hour work week? Or having consistent 3-day or 4-day weekends? Our podcast guest this week wakes up, goes for a workout, heads back to her backyard office, does what she needs to do, and then gets off by 3 p.m. to spend the day doing whatever she wants. And she's making great money doing it. Sounds pretty nice, right? Before we dive into this interview, I want you to be thinking about what that ideal day, that ideal life looks like for you. Now, keep in mind the importance of defining your own path to success, because our guest's journey is a testament to staying true to yourself while making the necessary adjustments to thrive. Now, during today's podcast, we'll be talking to our guest about how to grow a profitable business without being sidetracked or pushed into a business that doesn't feel true to you. This is someone I truly admire for her ability to zig when everyone else is zagging, to carve out her path no matter what anyone else is doing. Hey there, I'm Susie Daphnis. I'm the CEO at Her Business. Welcome to the Her Business podcast. In just a minute, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Kate Toon. Now, she's an award-winning digital marketer and entrepreneur and the author of 6 Figures in School Hours and her brand new book, 6 Figures While You Sleep. How divine does that sound? Now, Kate is an SEO specialist who has helped tens of thousands of business owners find their own path and grow their businesses in ways that suit them best. Now, her own journey is a fascinating one. From beginnings as a copywriter to becoming a sought-after SEO expert and digital marketing consultant, she's always emphasized the importance of authenticity and finding joy in your work. Now, she is known for her down-to-earth, no BS approach and her ability to make sense of the complexities of digital marketing. Now, she runs several successful courses, including the Recipe for SEO Success. She's also the host of a podcast where she shares insights and tips on how to build a business that supports your ideal lifestyle. And I love this conversation that you're about to hear, because you'll hear just how incredibly honest Kate is. She takes us behind the scenes of exactly what she's done to grow her business. And I want you to listen to the changes that she made in her business that had her get far more serious about how profitable her business was and how and where she would spend her time. So important. But no matter what she changed about her business, her profits, or her structure, she kept in mind the main goals that she had for her ideal life. Then she made a business that could make that life for her. Here we go. Hey, Kate.
Oh, hello. It's exciting to be here.
It's so great to see you. I'm really excited for this conversation. I can't believe after all the years we've known each other, we've never done this.
I know. It's weird, isn't it? You're one of the most original people I met in the business world online. But yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time, but we have some things to cover off today. We're going to dive right in, speaking about, well, kind of a topic that you introduce us to in 6 Figures in School Hours, which is your latest best-selling book. And it's really, really practical. I'm seeing it on the shelves, and it's really cut out for business owners who are actually parents who are looking to make some serious money, but not frazzle themselves, as you say, in the process. In the book, you say that this idea that was introduced to us a number of years ago, which was like a huge hit idea, big idea, groundbreaking idea of the 4-hour work week, is that it's a little bit of a setup, and that you actually call it a big fat lie. Can you talk to us about that?
I know. I'm sure Tim Ferriss is going to come after me one day. But no, I think that often a lot of productivity books are written by people who do not do the lion's share of parenting. You know, they give advice like, getting up at 5 a.m. to get that extra hour in, which is impossible if you've already been up till 3 a.m. with a child's foot in your face or dealing with some, crisis. I just think they are generally, and they often at the beginning of the book say, just want to thank my wonderful partner who gave me the time to write this book. And you're like, yeah, I'd love a wife. That would be great. So I think, what I wanted to do is create a much more realistic book and also be honest about the exchange that, yes, you can earn a lot of money, but there is a finite amount of time, and that time has to come from somewhere. And you're going to have to make a decision about whether you want to take that time from your family, from yourself, from your health, your wellness, or whether you want to earn a little bit less and have a bit of a better lifestyle. Because, that's the truth of it, I think.
I do think it's the truth of it. And I know that for many years, especially during my 30s, I was going for as much cash flow, as much profit, as much money as possible, to the detriment of my health. And so I'm in a different life cycle now. And just like people who are new parents versus now your kids are in high school, you have a different amount of time, you can turn up to the gym once a week or twice a week or whatever you want to do. But as business owners, whether we have school-age children or they're adults or we don't have children at all, fitting it all in can be really hard. And I know you have a membership, you run courses, you've just run 2 successful challenges, you do live events, you've got one book that came out, just last year, you've got another one in the works, you have very active Facebook groups. How do you do it? How do you manage all that without burning yourself out?
Well, look, I have had periods where I have felt like near burnout, often because of the pressure and expectations I put on myself. These days, I'm much more measured. I do have a team of people helping me, which is obviously a financial expense. But, I could not do what I do without that group of people. And obviously, I work that expense to make it still profitable for my business. But I have very strict boundaries. So it may look like I'm giving a lot away, but it's within the context of what I can give away. I still only work about 20 hours a week. So I'm not working a 4-hour work week. I can't work past 3. I'm so trained to finish at 3 because that's the end of school that I literally cannot work. I don't like working weekends and I don't like getting up early and working. I like to go to the gym. So I just get done what I can. I would say I've learned some great productivity hacks and I am highly productive. That helps. But it's often the appearance of doing a lot when a lot of it is repurposed, regenerated, recycled, and minimal. Answering a few comments in a Facebook group. Don't have to write a super intelligent answer. You just sometimes have to acknowledge someone's comment and that makes them feel good,
But 20 hours a week with the sort of business that you have, at least what I'm seeing from the outside is really quite phenomenal. I have never worked 20 hours a week. I've been in business 30 years this year. So, life goals. Yeah. You have your own way of doing things. You have a very distinct voice. You have a very distinct brand. And I admire that in the work that you do, you're supporting people to not be a cookie cutter of everyone else, but to really find what success is for them. So for you, it might be 20 hours a week. There's nothing past 3. I go to the gym in the morning. I, don't work on weekends. You even have a very successful group, the one that you appear to be in all the time, but you're telling us, well, you're not doing as much as we think you'd be doing, but you are ever present. It's called the Misfit Entrepreneurs. How would you describe a misfit entrepreneur? And do you consider yourself a misfit now, even though you've got, loads of experience and loads of success and all the things? Yeah.
I mean, it's named after my first book, which was called Confessions of a Misfit Entrepreneur. Look, I do still consider myself a bit of an outsider, but I think what I've realized, even in discussion with you, is that we all feel sometimes like we're on the outside. Even people who appear to be on the inside, it's like, what is the inside? We're all odd. We all have our quirks. I think some people are better at sort of playing the game and giving the appearance of, and they are very professional and they never let their guard down and they don't share their sad stories or their low points. I guess I'm just not very good at that. I've never been particularly great at regulating my emotions. I kind of tend to say whatever comes into my head. And for years, I tried to hold back on that and kind of be something I wasn't. And now I guess the misfit entrepreneur thing is embracing yourself, however odd you think you are, and sharing your oddities and your quirks. Because my belief is that often you'll find 2 people who have equal skills, equal experience, have worked with great clients and are a similar price. How do you then choose between them? Right. Often it's simply because you like their hair, or they've got a dog and you've got a dog, or they're really into Taylor Swift. It's sometimes the weird things that connect us more than the professional things. So I guess that's the mantra of Misfit.
I do love it. And you are such a role model for it. You really do just, you speak your mind. You're not looking for popularity votes. And I'm sure you care when people, might be
probably a bit
awful.
too much.
But it's a culture where even in the group, and we're going to put a link to the group alongside this interview, people are allowed to just be themselves. And, you have your guidelines, it's your group, your rules, but you allow people to be imperfect in that group and to share that. I love that. Obviously, that's part of your brand. The group is part of your marketing. It's associated, as we said, with your first book. Excuse me. And you are a marketer. You're an award-winning digital marketing coach. I'd love to dig into what strategies you've used, especially online strategies, that have really attributed, you feel, to the growth and success of your business.
Well, I think, my background is copywriting. So I would say for me that writing and copy is at the core of everything. Even with the rise of AI and all these tools, they're fantastic tools to assist us. But, I think having a good voice, writing well is the key to everything, selling, communicating, marketing, everything. Then for me, the big pillar in the early days was SEO. So creating a site and a presence that was very findable online hugely, hugely boosted my business.
Right.
For me, the other channel that's worked really well is email marketing. I was email marketing manager for O2 in the UK. And that ability to have one-on-one conversations and segment your list so that you're really talking to people about what they're interested in, I think is so valuable. Because unlike all the social media channels where you're talking, but there's another copywriter talking right next to you, email is just direct and quiet and one-to-one. So those would be my big three: copywriting, SEO, and email marketing. The other one I've done a lot of is podcasting, both as a guest and a show presenter. My weakest point would be social media. I do not have the following that some of my peers have on platforms like Instagram. But I often find that big followings don't necessarily make big revenue. So I'm happy with my slightly more left of center approach.
Well, we all get to choose, right? We can't be everywhere all the time. And you're going with your strengths, which, as you said, is copywriting, SEO, strong brand. And you do have a profile. You're known in your industry. You speak internationally. You're on podcasts and have listeners all over the world. If we wanted to, as individuals, step out from behind our brand, our small business, develop our pitch and become a subject matter expert who's known, even if there is the competition right there next to us, where do you suggest we start?
Gosh, it's challenging, isn't it? I mean, I don't think you need to start dancing on reels to begin with. I think you gently dip your toe in the pond. My start was writing articles for a platform called Flying Solo.
Oh, fantastic.
Back in the day, and just slowly injecting some of my humor and my ideas. I think, it would be being brave enough to move away from your strong points and talk about some of your weak points. So I think there's a lot to be said for sharing failures and flaws. And they don't always need to be a hero's journey. I did this, it was terrible. Then I did this, look at me now. I think they can not end in heroics. They can end in just a lesson, a small lesson.
Could you give us an example? This is really interesting.
Yeah. So like on LinkedIn, you'll often see people saying, oh, I was living in a bin and then I discovered drop shipping, and now I make $8 million a year by my program. I think it's more interesting to say, I went to speak at an event. This is one of mine. I went to speak at an event and I fell as I got on the stage. I fell flat on my face. I didn't even get my hands down. And I had to carry on. And throughout the presentation, one side of my face just got redder and redder and redder. And I had to carry on. And it's probably one of the worst things that could happen, right? So embarrassing. But, I got through it and everyone enjoyed the presentation. And when I talk about it now, and I said, do you remember that time I fell over at We Are Podcast? No one remembers. No one remembers. So it's a story of failure, but it's not necessarily a story of triumph. It's just a small lesson. So I think that's really important. I think the other big thing, and this is what will frighten people, especially in this cancel culture, is to try and be a little bit contrary. Even yesterday, I put on Threads. So it's all about Threads now. A post about how I don't like doing pre-interviews for podcasts. I like onboarding my guests and getting their information. But I know that the people I'm talking to are really busy. And for them to give me 15 minutes on top of the time for the podcast is a big ask. I also think often the spontaneity is lost. Put that on Threads. Loads of people disagree with me, quite angrily disagreeing with me. It's crazy. People love to argue. People will argue about anything. But having a few contrary opinions I don't think you necessarily need to talk about religion, politics, whatever, but being a bit contrary to your industry, I think can make you stand out. If everyone else is going this way and you go this way and you believe in that, it's authentic, that can be really powerful.
I agree. And I think that sometimes we want to be polarizing people so that we find the people who really resonate with us and our message and the way what we believe, and busting some of those myths or going against the grain doesn't always feel comfortable because, we don't want angry comments and our things. But I think it's really powerful, again, to have a point of view.
Yeah.
This is the Business Growth Summit for Women Entrepreneurs, where we are chatting right now. And so I want to talk a little bit more about you and your business. How would you describe your leadership style and philosophy, and how has it changed as the business has grown?
Gosh, that's an interesting question. I work with a publisher and they publish a lot of leadership books, none of which I have read. I don't know if it's funny because I confuse leadership with being a boss. And I don't think I'm a great boss. Do you know what I mean? I was never great at managing teams. It's one of the reasons I left that world. I have a small team now, but they're all very self-determined individuals who do their own thing. In terms of a leader, I think I am I lead from behind. Some of these are cliches. I am definitely still in the gladiatorial pit, fighting the same lions as the people I'm leading. And I wouldn't say that I'm super far ahead of my people either. Like, I'm a couple of steps maybe. Sometimes they're ahead of me. And they're not there because they think I'm going to drop great, orbs of knowledge. They're there for accountability or support or humor. I think my leadership style is I take my business very seriously, but I don't take myself very seriously. And that can be quite relatable and reassuring. So I feel like I'm walking side by side with the people that I lead rather than sitting on a plinth dispensing knowledge. Is that what I don't know if I've ever said
that is the style.
Okay.
No, cool. But that is your style, is that I don't feel like I need to be here and them there, whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever that
means.
But
whatever models we might have known as employees, there was that leadership, but knowing that yours is, just because I'm the boss doesn't mean I don't get in there and get dirty. I'm not on the field, like you said. I do it side by side. And I expect people still have their roles. And so you're not side by side because they're dropping balls and you're picking them up. They're side by side, but each of you has your distinct role. And so you're leading, but they're not peers. They're still your team, but you have a respect that is not, I am the boss, therefore I am better than you.
Do as I say. Yes.
Yeah, do as I say. Well, no, you do want them to do as you say.
They have to. I am going to play this back so that I listen to it, because it's not something I reflect on very often, because I think I wear any kind of leadership beret very comfortably. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes people will go, oh gosh, you've done so much and you do all these things. And I'm like, yeah, really? Like I don't have much of a perception of how I'm perceived. I still feel like I'm definitely in the game, definitely not on the winners platform. Does that make sense? Like
it does. And it's so interesting because we started our businesses, maybe we managed teams, maybe we didn't before, but I think that our ability to communicate a message, to get people on board, to have them know if we're all cogs in a system, what each cog is meant to do, what the outcome is, what the goals we're going for me, that is all leadership. And I know for me, I resisted it. I was young. I was in my 20s when I started my business. I was hiring people much older than me, and I didn't feel like I could lead them. But what I've learned over time, it's about creating the context, really, being responsible for the playing field and then letting people do what they need to do inside it. And I don't have to have great quotes, and I don't have to have those traditional leadership qualities. A beard. No, I don't have to be a middle-aged white man. And I can still lead. And I think, I've seen even in our community, Kate, like when I say to women, put on your CEO hat, it's always a little uncomfortable. Like, what does that mean? It's just me and I just have a virtual assistant, or I've just got 3 or 4 staff. But it's really about just owning that this is my game and I'm going to invite into it people who are going to want to play this game with me. We all know what the rules are. We know where the goalposts are, and we're going to have a great time. It's going to be great. And so I think leadership can be whatever it is, but it's really, ultimately we take the most responsibility in our business. I don't think that can ever be transferred to even the most amazing team member. But it's a fascinating conversation, I think.
Yes. Yeah. It's about creating a safe space, I think, for me. Like, as you said, come in the gladiatorial pit. I like gladiatorial pit for some reason. Talk about the Romans. let's all be in here together. We're all fighting the same poor lions, and we've all got our different tools and skills and equipment. Let's all help each other. Do you know what I mean? Let's gather together and become a gang. I love the idea of a gang.
You like the rebellious side of
I
it.
do. Whenever I do my team picture, it's always my head superimposed on a Viking with a big horde of Vikings behind them. Because, I think it's a lonely world being a business owner, and, your community and other communities, it's a place where you can go, I've got a little group of people who have got my back, because it can be intimidating. And there's especially women, I think, are often set up in competition with each other. And it's not competition. And the more that we can eradicate that and work together, the more powerful we are.
I totally agree. Earlier, you mentioned, things having to work at a profitability level as well, and really deciding what things are worth my time and energy. What are some of the critical things that you measure that lets you know, okay, my business is healthy right now? And how do those metrics inform your decision making?
Well, I base all my decisions on, do people want it? Will it make me money? And will I enjoy it? Because if I don't enjoy it to some degree, I won't be able to do it for the long term. And most of my success has not become from some brilliant big idea. It's come from persistence and sticking to it, So the rewards have come, but they've taken longer than most people would be willing to wait. So I have to have some degree of enjoying the struggle, not the destination. Financially, I was a complete financial illiterate 5 or 6 years ago, no idea what I was doing. And I've had to force myself to learn and to get rid of the myth in my head that I'm not a numbers person, surround myself with good financial people. And now I am all about the numbers. I look at my numbers every single day. Profit margin is my main metric. I don't really care about revenue so much. I've hit $1 million. I know a lot of people who make $1 million and don't even pay themselves. So I'm all about profit margin. And because my business is largely passive, my profit margin is usually 52, 55%, which is great, So that's taken a while. A lot of things I've done, especially last year, weren't profitable. I had a year of playing, investing, trying stuff out, and I learned a lot from it. And now I'm going back to what I know works. So I do look at the numbers for everything, really.
I love it. So what shifted, do you think? Because for the many, many years, I was like, I'm not a numbers person. My partner PJ is the numbers person. He can do all that. But there came a point where I was like, I'm out of integrity if I am teaching women how to grow profitable businesses and I don't look at my numbers. So something shifted in me that changed the regularity with which I look at them, what I look at, how I understand them. What do you feel was for you the shift? Because you said it was about 5 or 6 years ago, but how long have you been in business?
So I've been in business for 15 years.
Right. So for a lot of the time you were moving forward, creating great things, but perhaps not as conscious of the finances. What do you think caused the shift?
I think, I was a solopreneur for a long time. And I got a big tax debt because I just trusted my accountant, and I earned more that year, but we hadn't planned for that. So that was shocking. It was $50,000, which was huge amount to me then. So that was one moments. But then it was really when I shifted into passive income, which was about 2015, 2016. And I started to make a serious amount of money, but I still didn't have any. I thought, well, once you hit this figure, you're going to be lying in a bath of champagne. And I wasn't. And I'm like, where is it going? I have no clarity on what money is mine. And that was a real moment. And then I incorporated, which requires a degree of consciousness about your numbers. I got a much better accountant. I got a really good bookkeeper. And I at that point wasn't teaching people how to have profitable business. I was teaching them SEO and copywriting. Now, having gone through that process, I feel more confident about talking to that, but very much in the context of my story. So it was a few horrible moments that made me go. I had one day, for example, where I sold my course out in 8 hours. I made $160,000 in 8 hours, which is life-changing. It had zero impact on me emotionally. I was like, and I emptied the dishwasher. Do you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you know what I mean? But also it was like, well, now I'm rich, right? And then I was like, no, I'm not, because that goes there and that goes to him and that goes to that. Something's not working. And it's because I was just looking at revenue. I wasn't looking at how profitable I was. And that was the big shift.
Huge lesson. And I'm so glad you shared that, because I remember in about 3 years into business, we were doing about $300,000. We had a few part-time staff, and we were just burning out. Like we were just on the treadmill.
Go.
And PJ and I took a weekend away to a little house in Hyams Beach in South New South Wales, and we just kind of deconstructed the business. What's working, what's not working, what products and services work, what do we even want to do, and what do we even want from this business, because it's just frying us. And out on the beach, one morning we were walking, and I pulled out just a stick that I found there, and I wrote 1 million on the sand. And it was like, I'd never before said, I want $1 million business. And that morning I went, I love this idea. I have no idea how we would get there, but here's what I know. I'm going to have to change. The team's going to have to change. The products and services need to change. So it was a vision that got us putting a whole lot of things in place. But as you said, then it became 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. But we really had to watch the profit, because there were more staff costs, there were more overheads, we had a building, we were traveling more, there was accommodation, there was airfares, there was, the payroll at one point was $1 million. So the revenue was no longer an indicator of any sort of success. The number of staff was not any indicator of any sort of success. But in the early years, we can think that. We can think, if I just get that number, wow, I did $160,000 in 8 hours in a day, I can chillax. But we get wiser, and I'm so excited for everything that you just said. Speaking about revenue, you mentioned passive income. You have a number of revenue sources, from courses to the membership to books to lots of things I probably don't even know about. When you have such a diverse income stream, how do you know where to put your attention?
Look, it's a challenge. It's like having several children and knowing which ones you want to take care of. Spinning plates. I think to some degree it's where my energy is. It may not be totally rational or logical, but it's just where I have energy. My most profitable product is my SEO course, but it's probably my least enjoyable because I've been doing it for a long time, and because possibly, SEO isn't at the heart of what I do anymore. But we can't enjoy every aspect of our business. We can't be, laughing with glee every minute of our day. Some parts of our business do become bread and butter. And as I often say, a boring business is a good business,
I agree.
I try and balance it between creative projects, new things that get me excited, but large part of my business is just doing the do, So there's no real logic to it. I don't go Tuesday is SEO day and Wednesday is this. It's what needs attention, the squeaky wheel sometimes, where my energy is, and obviously what's going to make me the most money, not to be brutal. I do enjoy passion projects, but I do kind of keep them to a limit because I have, as you said, I don't make money until I make about 50 grand a month, because that's how much it costs to run my business. So I always have to be thinking about that before anything else.
Yeah, that's a real reality check. That is, that's a lot of money. Some people make that in a year, and that's what we need. And when when other people see that money coming in, it's like, you're good. But it can be really expensive to run a business. That is the end of the formal questions, but I have another question. You're writing another book. Can you give us any idea what it's about?
Well, it's really about all of this. I think I might ask Susie to give me a little quote for it. It's called 6 Figures While You Sleep. And it's about using your turning your skills and services into high profit, low effort digital products. So really taking people through the process of creating digital downloads, creating courses, memberships, masterminds, low touch, high profit, one-to-many offerings. So that's the plan.
So good. And release date is expected
July.
to be? July. Oh, are you taking pre-orders or not yet?
I will be soon. We're just about to release the cover. I got to finish it though. I feel like I don't want to announce too much and get all that dopamine of people going, oh, well done. But I've still got 35,000.
Well, you still got it. Yeah, you've still got a bit of a slog. Well, do let us know when that's available. In the meantime, we are going to link to the current best-selling book right here below this interview. At Her Business, as you might know, our tagline is do what you love every day. What is an ideal day in your business when you're doing what you love?
Oh, Susie, I love this question so much because I am a big believer in not dreaming too big. I just want an easy, enjoyable life. I walk my dog, I get my coffee, I get to work in my little cave in my back garden, talk to some great people, do things like this. And then, I wrap up about 3, make a snack for my son and watch a bit of Netflix. It's not glamorous. It's pretty basic, but I love I'm calm, I'm contented, I get to live a really peaceful, lovely life, travel a bit. I'm very envious of Susie's travel, and just enjoy what I do. I do bound to my desk like a happy Labrador pretty much every day. And that's all I want. It may not be hugely ambitious or driven, but it works for me.
I love it. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
So good. One part of this conversation with Kate that sticks with me is the realization that she came to about her numbers and the time she took to correct the ship when something clearly wasn't working. She had to stop telling herself that she just wasn't a numbers person, and instead she forced herself to learn about her finances. And after she did, she realized that she actually enjoyed diving into the financial side of her business. So many business owners have a similar wake-up call. When you're working so hard, almost to the point of burnout, and you look at your bank account with nothing to show for all your work, it's a harsh reality check. But usually it's a necessary moment of truth to really start making more profitable choices. And what I admire about Kate is her ability to course correct like that. As business owners, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others and feeling pressured to match their success. But Kate has mastered the art of staying true to herself. For her, as she explained, success means a quiet, balanced life where she works in her backyard office. She makes great money. She spends time with her family and her beautiful dog, and she finishes her day by 3 p.m. to enjoy that time for herself and for her family. Now, we each have our own definition of success, and it's deeply personal and unique. So I challenge you to reflect on what that ideal life looks like for you, and try living that life for a day, for a week. Maybe for you, it's a 20-hour work week like Kate, or maybe it's focusing more on what you love and less on what drains you. It could even be setting a firm end time each day and shutting down your computer at that point. Whatever that is for you, give it a go and let me know how you go. Now, based on that information and how that works out, how you process that, it could actually lead your business into a direction that serves you much better and helps you create that ideal week every week. So give it a go. And as I said, let me know how you go. You can email me anytime at podcast@herbusiness.com. A big thank you to Kate Toon for helping us cover such an important topic. Now, I want to give a shout out to one of our listeners. Firstly, I'm going to put all of Kate's details over on the show notes page over at herbusiness.com/268. You'll be able to purchase her books. You'll be able to connect with her. Definitely join her Facebook group. She's an all-star. But right now, what I want to do is I want to give a shout out to Frances Pratt of Medicine. Now, Medicine coaches female founders who hate selling to really unearth and redesign their relationship with sales. And she does this through a number of different programs, including her Accelerate Sales program. Now, she was listening to episode 267, which is called Not Everyone is Your Customer, and That's Okay. And she said, I so agree with this. She said, I was working with a client yesterday. Broadcasting, like what she means is like just scattergun approach to your communication is hard and expensive. When you can narrowcast and speak their language, know their pains, and talk about your solution in a way that resonates with them, that's when your message is loud and strong and powerful and convincing. Fran is absolutely right, and this is what she helps people with every day. So we'll put a link to her business inside of the show notes as well. I so love doing the show for you, and I appreciate you listening and sharing the show with your friends. I love it whenever I get a comment from you on what you enjoyed or what you implemented. It really makes my day. So if you're taking something away from this episode with Kate and you're implementing it, let me know. Just reach out at podcast@herbusiness.com or direct message me on Instagram. You'll find us over at Her Business on Instagram. So if you have a question or an idea for an upcoming episode, also just let us know. We're here for you. If you're new to the show, be sure to subscribe. So wherever you're listening, hit that subscribe or follow button. And if you enjoyed this episode, please head to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating or review. I would so appreciate it. So join us next time for more inspiring stories and lessons from successful female entrepreneurs right here on the Her Business Podcast. Bye for now.